Hello everyone, this is Menz here. I'm going to be playing the Tier 10 Chinese medium tank, the 121 here, on Siegfried Line Assault Defense. This match probably is one of the best matches I've ever had in World of Tanks. It happened during one of my live streams, and just doing recording over to replay here. But feel free to check out at the end of the video. My live stream will be linked. It's at the 1 hour and 45-minute mark during that live stream. If you're interested in seeing it live, but going over a little bit more details of this match, I end up doing Ace Tanker. Of course, Radley Walters Metal, Top Gun, Steel Wall, High Caliber. Damage wise ends up being 9,101 damage with 8 kills. Now, getting started here with the 121, it doesn't have a lot of gun depression. Armor on it, fairly good, especially on the turret, but the upper plate can get you a few bounces, but lower plate pretty weak. Side armor not so great as well, but the gun on this does a lot of damage for a medium tank. I carry mostly AP rounds, 440 damage, 258 pen. Fairly good. It's not the best in the world considering travels a little bit slower than an APCR shell, but it does have pretty good normalization considering it's not APCR and it is AP. But for mediums, the gun's just a pinch inaccurate and the aiming time's a little bit longer, but it does have quite a bit of a punch to it. Heat rounds, bumps the pen up considerably. I do use quite a bit of heat here because it was kind of a close match the most of the way, and there wasn't any doubt I was going to do my best to try to win this. But anyway, starting out here, just looking at my team, I wasn't too thrilled in a way because basically defending is typically pretty hard on this map, depending on the tank you're in, just because a lot of times your team doesn't really exit the bubble of the city, and the enemy just kind of surrounds you, and you're kind of stuck, and eventually you just can't hold, a certain position, and you just end up losing a flank and getting killed. So typically how I approach this map, if you watch a lot of my streams and I'm on this map, I usually stay to the southern part of the town here. Specifically because typically I find it easier to get shots off down here. I try to start out, right around this area because going up to this little bump, you can get shots off semi-safely. Just trying to. I don't want to use essentially the lock camera right now, just because trying to give you guys a decent view of basically around these buildings. It's a little bit hard to see if I don't use the free cam. But initially here, the way my team has placed, I'm kind of happy. I have a little group of tanks here with me. A lot of times, I push through right around the IS-3 and the T-32 is, and you just die very quickly. I didn't want to push out there that early, just because typically the largest grouping of their tanks are in these two areas, so you want to see if they actually push hard first before you commit. Now, it's a little bit troublesome that we don't have a lot of people in the north, because if they get behind us here, it's very hard for us to hold on. But pushing up is the best choice here. If I had just sat there, we would have had a pretty hard time holding on to the town here. This IS-3 slipping by, which I'm kind of worried about, getting flanked here. But, our T-32 gets knocked out and get my first 500 damage there. This gun, it's pretty much a heavy tank gun, and it even has higher alpha than some tier 10 heavies, and it's pretty nice using it. Now, as somebody kind of coined on the stream, I pretty much master shooting through these archways pretty well here. Fortunately, the enemy, they were trying to do the same thing, but I just barely get by them. At this point, though, we're down by 3 tanks already. We've killed one of their tier 10 mediums, but it's not looking good. Like, honestly, I wasn't too confident at this point. We pretty much have lost the entire north, and with that, since we're pushed back into the town, we virtually only have control of just my little outline here, which roughly is like 30% of the map. It's never a good thing. Essentially, it doesn't allow tanks to kind of set up further behind you, take shots without them being seen, and oftentimes your team just keeps bleeding tanks. Fortunately for us, though, the enemy, they have a pretty good group, and they could, push in, take out these guys very quickly, round in, and, kill us very quickly since they have the numbers. Unfortunately, though, I keep landing, little shots here and there, and it kind of holds them off in a way, which, playing on this map, you really need to be aware of, these little arches. They can help you, and they can really hurt you. I'm switching between AP and heat. Basically, the problem with using heat here is a lot of these shots are on tracks of tanks, and while heat should still be able to pen them, at the same time it's a little bit of a problem, because you do have a chance of basically penning the track and not the armor behind it using heat. So I'm sticking with AP. I hit that T-32, but I don't do any damage. If I had a heat round, honestly, that would have damaged him. But, this IS-6 starts poking out a little bit too much. And at this point, I'm at 3k damage. And, yeah, it's not looking good here. We're down by 4 tanks. Still, we're not exactly holding on well. The M48, low HP. We have nobody around our cap and north of it. Fortunately, they don't cap out, but I'm still in a decent spot. I have most of my HP, and even though at this point it's not looking good, I was still sort of optimistic about winning this. I'm still pumping damage out, so at some point, it's going to turn in our favor, where the main problem we have right now is we're damaging tanks and we're not actually killing them. So it looks a lot worse than what it is. And, fortunately, the enemy doesn't dive in and get that killing blow. This Tiger 2 makes a bit of a mistake there. He wasn't loaded, but the M48 wasn't loaded either. So leaving his turret angled like that left it very easy for me to damage him. But this gun, if you don't have to contend with the 3.5 degrees of gun depression and really fight the tank more than the enemy, you can just chew through enemies. Now, I do switch to heat here, primarily because this E5, I'm worried that he's going to repair his track, start pulling his frontal armor over, and the E5 trolley armor right now, so best if I stick to heat, even if I am shooting the space armor. It's a little bit of a risk, and I am trading shots with him, but honestly, I'm fine with that. I have more HP than him. I have the 440 damage gun, which is a little bit higher, and DPM wise, I believe I have a pretty decent leg up on him. So not only do I out alpha him, but DPM is either right around the same, if not a little bit higher, I believe. But at this point, still, a little under halfway to my total damage, and we're still down by 4 tanks. And at this point, my guys behind me, only the E5 and the Grill really have a decent amount of HP left. The Grill's going to make a pretty risky move, and he starts pushing all the way out here, even though we have a lot of people in the town. But, fortunately for me, he's one-shottable. With the high alpha, even with low rolls, 2-shottable. And the same with the IS-7. If I get lucky, he's technically 2-shottable, but it will probably take 3 shots. But all these guys are, outside of the T-55A, within reason for me to still kill. But when the enemy kind of pushes in one at a time here, it's better to stay the course. And at this point, with those 2 kills, the Girl and myself, we're now within 2 tanks. T-32 here is to get a hit on him. I'm not too concerned about taking a shot from him, but fortunately for me, My bounce, that IS-3 shot was pretty big there. I am kind of going to ignore him. He backed off enough here where he's not going to take a shot. But with the low alpha of the T-26E5, even me taking a shot from him, as long as I don't get hit by this IS-7, I can take a shot from the T-26E5 and the IS-3. And by doing that, I can kill him and still be alive with a couple people, well, 3 people behind me. Not that they have a ton of HP left. So trading shots here, I decide to poke out. Granted, I didn't know the M41 was exactly there, but even if I had taken a shot there, I would have been content with what happened. Now at this point, you know, IS-3 is threatening to kill these 3 guys. However, with all of us spotted and poking through here, it would not be good for me to go down this one route. The IS-7 can point his frontal armor here and basically be in a decent position to, you know, get us. I missed that shot against the IS-3, and at this point, losing the E5, Tiger 2, I'm like, shit, I've got to do something here. I have no more heat rounds, so decide to try to flank this IS-7. I set him on fire, luckily. That was a pretty big break. Even without the fire, I got the first shot in, and I would have been able to kind of scoot over here. I probably would have taken a hit, but between the 3 of us, we would have been able to kill him. And again, you know, I decided to, it's a little bit of a gamble, but not too much. You know, pushing out here on my own, just because if we stay balled up in one area, it's very easy for, you know, the enemy to kind of surround us. But luckily with doing so, you know, I'm able to get the T-55A, you know, a shot on him. I kill the IS-3, which for whatever reason he didn't shoot me. That was a little bit surprising. But we still have this grill. He's going to find the 2 SPGs, which, if you watch the live stream version of this, again, it's going to be at the, you know, end of the video. There's a link to it. It's at the 1 hour 45-minute mark. Essentially, he's going to kill Artie, and while Artie is a threat, we are defending here at 5 minutes left. So killing the 2 tanks would virtually clinch it for us, which is what I was going for. I was keeping in mind that the grill did, you know, more or less clear this area of Artie. So I'm mainly concerned about Artie hitting me here, which is why pushing on the IS-7 was less of a risk, because you have a decent amount of cover here. Because SPGs, it was unlikely for them to be over in this area. But fortunately, this T-55A, I'm able to get, you know, those 2 big hits on him, and that brings him down to a one-shottable level. And even though he took my IS-3 out, I was still fairly confident with, you know, fighting him. And that miss, I rushed the shot a little bit, but, you know, even taking this hit here, I was content with him, you know, kind of, you know, pushing past getting the shot on me, as long as I got that shot to take him out. And then finally, like, this is still an iffy area. Like, the grill, I was like, shit, this guy's going to get one shot at. He's going after the Artie, but he gets the hit on him. And we still have the Bat Chat and the M41, which the M41 sets up, you know, over here, which still, even though we see the Bat Chat, I'm concerned about killing this freaking light tank, because if he has the autoloader and he gets to my flank or the grill, he can essentially take us out, which I almost die here, you know, from him. I just barely survive here with 8 HP and kill him with the last shot. But that was a little bit too close for comfort. I did get a little bit lucky there, but, you know, I was determined to, you know, push in, and even if I had died, still fairly confident that the grill could have taken him out. You know, if we lost at the end there, I would have put that on me for pushing in a little too hard, because I could have just poked, taken a shot, pulled back, and it would have been safer. But yeah, fortunately, you know, the end didn't turn out to be spoiled from a mistake. But 9,100 damage here. I blocked a decent amount. It just goes to show you, like, even though we're behind for a lot of the match, I was still getting off a decent chunk of damage. The enemy wasn't really pushing too hard on us, and the guys around me, while they're losing more HP than me, it's not like we're ever in a terrible situation up until the end when they started to die and I was zipping around flanking. Um, it's like if I had tried to force things, sometimes I make that mistake and I force when I see that we're behind. You can't really do that when you're brawling with tanks. You got to let the enemies make the mistakes. And for most of the match, if you remember back, I was just letting the enemies push on us, and I was taking off big chunks of their HP as they're trying to move on our position. Um, you're always, for the most part, in control if you're in a good position, letting the enemies move into you, because they're the ones not aimed in, and oftentimes you getting a hit on them causes them to move back, and a lot of people keep trying the same thing and failing over and over, and it works in your favor. But anyway, most amount of damage in a match, of course. There's not enough HP around to even come close, but this is probably the second most amount of damage I think I've ever done in a match, if not the most. The only other match that comes into mind is 11 kill game in a back when the T-30 was a heavy tank. But nonetheless, the M48 and the grill did help out quite a bit. And even the guys around me, like the AMX 5100, Tiger 2, and the IS-3, not a ton of damage from them. But, without, a group working together, one tank can't hold off that many without the enemy being like, we're just going to round the corner and kill them. They did have the advantage on us, but fortunately, with 3 or 4 tanks there, it was just enough to keep them at bay. And then finally, I do have a personal reserve going off, but even so, would have made a hefty profit in this match. I shoot 27 times. I hit 25 of them. 2 of the misses were between arches. Sometimes it's a little hard to hit in between them. And I penetrate 23 of them. Even though the penetration, it's not an APCR shell, but honestly, AP has better normalization than APCR, so it's kind of good in a way. 249, I believe the pen is anyway, isn't that shabby either. But you always have heat to fall back on. That's why I carry a few of them. Didn't use any HE shells, but I keep them. If there's like a mouse at very long range and I'm moving around, chuck a HE shell. You're gonna miss. I actually saw someone quote this on Reddit earlier for World of Tanks, but you're gonna miss 100% of your 100% of your shots if you don't take them. So I carry HE sometimes for that. Just chuck it down range, see if you get lucky. But outside of that, I get shot 11 times. I get penned 8 of them, and I bounce 3. The armor on this upper plate, if you add a little bit of horizontal angle to it, can be pretty strong. And the turret's pretty good, but yeah, a lot of times you're not going to be able to tank other tier 10 shots in this. And I blocked 1100 damage and assist it with a whopping 63 at the end there. But fortunately this all worked out, and more or less, like, I was a little bit lucky here that the enemy didn't push as hard as they probably should have. Like, they won the north very early on, and they could have flanked us and gotten around to our sides and kind of enveloped us, but they took it a little bit too slow. And fortunately, you're going to find most of the matches where you have really nice ones, or they're very smooth wins, is when your team works together. And fortunately, our team kind of stuck in a little bubble around our little area and worked out for us. The enemy was coming from all different directions, and we're just sitting there waiting for him. But anyway, thanks for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It was definitely a blast. Again, if you want to catch the other version of this during the live stream, unfortunately I couldn't clip it out. It was a 3-hour stream, and you only can really edit 2-hour ones after the fact. Kind of forgot about that. But there's a link to the live stream where this is featured at the end of the video, essentially right now, where you can click it, and it's at about the 1 hour and 45-minute mark. If you're interested in checking that out, because it was a pretty fun match seeing the reaction as it progressed. Otherwise, feel free to check out the stream if you haven't, though. I live stream here on YouTube several times a week. You can find my schedule on my live stream page, in the video description. And yeah, more or less give me a shot if you haven't watched me, and if you have, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed this voiceover after the fact too. Otherwise, have a good day. Hopefully I'll see you again in another video. See ya.